story this hour coming from Hong Kong, which has witnessed both protests and celebration on what is being marked as China National Day. The Hong Kong government organised a flag-raising ceremony to mark the 75th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. The event was followed by a reception hosted by the city's chief executive, Carrie Lam. The Hong Kong leader condemned international sanctions against China over the national security law, which is aimed at curbing dissent.
早晨，行政長官，星期點呢？儀仗隊已經準備好啦。
過去3個月，擺喺眼前嘅不爭事實係香港社會恢復平穩，國家安全喺特區得到保障，市民可以再依法享有基本嘅權利同埋自由。所以無論部分持雙重標準嘅外國政府對執行香港國安法嘅機關作出多少無理嘅指控，甚至對維護國家安全嘅特區官員粗暴咁實施進一步嘅所謂制裁，我同埋相關嘅同事會繼續無畏無懼，以堅定信心，依法履行我哋維護國家安全嘅職責。
The ceremony came amid protests by pro-democracy activists who called for the release of political prisoners. Fewer demonstrators turned up as the police placed a ban on all rallies. Richard Kimber now joins us live from Hong Kong for more updates on this news development. Thanks for joining us, Richard, and a very good afternoon to you. Now, China's National Day celebrations in Hong Kong come amid protests, of course, which are demanding the release of political prisoners. So give us a sense of the scenes unfolding in Hong Kong as of now.
Well, after this morning's address from Chief Executive Carrie Lam, there have been small pockets of protesters who are determined to come and make their voice heard, even though any large-scale protest march has been banned here today. There's expectations that throughout the rest of the afternoon and perhaps this evening there might be some slightly larger groups of protesters gathering, but really the message from the police has been very clear and very strong that anybody seen out on the streets appearing to be part of any kind of protest will be arrested quickly and will be dealt with under the national security law. And that message has been being played out in the local media every day for the past 3 or 4 days, with very strong rhetoric from the police and the government trying to dissuade anybody from breaching this police ban on protests today.
Right, so how have the security forces in Hong Kong responded? And does this flag hoisting ceremony mean that the Hong Kong government will officially be kowtowing to Beijing going forward?
Well, the message from Carrie Lam this morning was certainly very clear that the Hong Kong government is completely behind the national security law here and will do everything in its power to make sure that that law continues to be implemented in the city. Of course, that's something that's distressing for a large proportion of the public here, many of whom are broadly supportive of the pro-democracy movement, even if they're not broadly supportive of the disruption that some of the protests last year caused. Right. So the message very strong from the government in support of Beijing. Whether or not there's going to be any more protests will largely depend on how strong the police behave today. They've been saying to local media that they plan to deploy twice as many officers on the streets today as they have done on previous public holidays when there's been a threat to them of protest activity, which again has been a message trying to dissuade people from coming out. The general sentiment here is certainly more reserved with regards to protest activity. People are genuinely concerned about the threat of being arrested under the security law because the terms now for being arrested much stiffer than they were last year before this law was introduced.
Right. All right, Richard, thank you so much for all your inputs on this story and thank you for joining us on this broadcast.